Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm so glad that you are joining us for our very first episode of Quill Model's new series, Authors of Note. Today, we're sitting down with the author of the beautiful children's book, Love Sounds Like, a story that gently reminds us that love is much more than sound. This heartfelt book follows Shepard, a young boy who takes off his cochlear implant processors each night and asks his mama, "What does love sound like?" Together, they discover that love isn't just something we hear. It's something we can see, feel, taste, and even smell. Through their tender bedtime conversation, Love Sounds Like shows that we don't have to experience the world the same way we experience love. So settle in, open your heart, and join us as we dive into the story behind Love Sounds Like. With its soothing rhymes and beautiful artwork, this book has touched readers of all ages, reminding us that connection goes far beyond words and sound. We're so excited to talk with the author, Hannah Jessen Conway, today about the inspiration behind this story, the importance of representation, and the power of love told through every sense. Thank you so much for being here, Hannah. Let's jump right in. What first inspired you to write Love Sounds Like?
Well, I'm excited to be here today, Trisha. Thank you for having me. So Love Sounds Like was inspired by my son, whose name is Shepard. That's who the main character is based off of. So 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, he was born. We have an older son who's hearing as well. And so after Shepard was born, he referred his newborn hearing test in the hospital. So we came back for a repeat test. He referred again, came back a third time, and they did more extensive testing and told us that he was profoundly deaf in both ears. Initially, this was a huge shock and surprise to our family. My older son is hearing. Nobody else in our family is deaf. We honestly didn't know that much about the deaf community or deaf culture. And so at first we were almost saddened by this news, and it took some adjusting. But as weeks and months went by, we started to learn more about the deaf community. We immediately started taking sign language classes and eventually went down the process of getting him cochlear implants. So when he was a year, or a little less than a year, he got cochlear implants bilaterally. And so now he is learning both spoken and sign language. In those early days, though, there was one particular moment that really inspired this book. I was holding him late at night. He was crying. I was singing to him. And I started crying too because I realized he can't hear me singing. That's how I show love. That's how I want to comfort him. And my husband just reminded me that he doesn't have to hear me to feel my love. And in that moment, this idea was sparked to write a book about how love is not limited by our senses and that we can experience love differently from other people, and that's okay. That's what makes it even more beautiful. So that was the catalyst of this book. I'm a copywriter, and so I've written a lot for other people, but I was really excited to write something for my son, for both of my sons, and for my family, and be able to share it with the world. So it's been out there for about a year now, and the response has been nothing short of overwhelming in the best way. Yeah.
Wow, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And as a parent, I can resonate with that feeling. And just, I think it's important to really that you touched on the fact that it was a grieving process in the beginning, because anytime that we find out that our child is different, that's something that we have to grieve through and learn about. And so I love that your family has really taken this opportunity to learn more about the deaf community and culture and also language. And so that leads me to the question of why was it important for you to represent a deaf child and a hearing parent in this story?
Yeah, so one interesting thing that we learned after Shepherd was born was that the vast majority of deaf children are born to hearing parents. I don't want to mess up the statistic, but I know it's around 85 or 90%. Very high. And that made us realize what a privilege it is and also what a responsibility it is. And we've said from the beginning that we don't just want to expect Shepherd to integrate into our world. We also want to join him in his world. And so we like to say in our house, we are trying to bring the deaf and the hearing worlds together a bit more through language and understanding and community. And so in this book, I wanted to represent a hearing mother or hearing parents and a deaf child simply because that is our story. But I also know it is the story of tons of other families across the world, quite frankly. Um, and I wanted, again, to show that relationship was not limited by their differences, but that it gave the mother and the son both an opportunity to really think about what love means to them. And not to spoil the story, but at the end, the mother comes to this realization that love is more than a sound. She goes to tell him, I love you one more time. She signs it. She's about to say it. He's already asleep. His ears are off. And she just kind of has this moment of like, that's okay. Love is more than a sound. And so I wanted to represent that because it's our story. But like I said, it's also the story of so many other families. And I think they'll be able to see themselves in the pages. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely tell this story comes from such a vulnerable and personal place. But like you said, so many people can relate to it. And I think that that's an important part of the work that you're doing is helping other parents to understand that they're not alone in this journey.
Right.
So, what message do you hope that children, both hearing and deaf, take away from this book?
The biggest one that we've kind of already shared is that you don't have to experience the world in the exact same way to experience love. There are going to be things that Shepherd experiences and gets to do that I will never as a hearing parent. And there will also be things that I've experienced that he will not because he is deaf. And that's okay. I don't have to understand everything about him to love him and to support him and to empower him. And so in this book, it is about a deaf child, but the main point of the story is not his deafness. It's a part of him. It's represented in the illustrations and the conversation. But I wanted to write a story that hearing children could relate to as well and think about the different ways that they experience love. Um, and with that, I wanted to increase the representation of deaf children in children's literature. There is a little bit of sign language in the book as well. Not as much because at the time I was not fully comfortable with it. I was still in the early stages of learning it. But again, I wanted to represent that as well, show his cochlear implant, and just bring a little bit more inclusivity to children's literature through a story that I hope all children can relate to in one way or the other.
Yeah, that is really powerful. So, this book emphasizes that love can be felt, seen, smelled, and even tasted, not just heard. So, how do you think that this sensory approach helps build empathy and understanding?
Yeah, that's a great question. And also, I realize I have not shown the cover yet, so I'll hold it up right now as I answer that question. When I decided to use the five senses as a way to tell the story, part of me was thinking about teachers who would read this to their kids in kindergarten, first grade, and those earlier years. That's when you learn the five senses. And so part of me was thinking, this is a fun and practical way to teach them not just about deafness, about cochlear implants, and about love, but also about the five senses. Um, and again, with that, I think it allows the book to be really inclusive so that if a child who is blind is reading the book, they are reminded that love is not just seen. Or if a child needs crutches or is in a wheelchair and can't walk the way that a lot of people do, they can still see themselves represented in the pages in terms of other ways that they can experience love. And so the main character is deaf, but the bigger picture is that no matter what your difference is, no matter how you experience the world, you can still experience love. And I hope it encourages kids to think through the ways that they feel love. These are some of the ways that I feel love, that Shepherd feels love, that I hope my boys feel love. But more than that, I hope it sparks conversation with kids of all different ages and abilities and backgrounds to think about the unique ways that they feel love and to be encouraged by that.
Yeah. As a deaf ed teacher, I love that you considered all of those things when writing this book. That really is powerful and an important lesson. So, what was the most challenging part of writing this story?
So the challenging part, I would say, was not in the writing. The story came very quickly, very naturally. I think the most challenging part has been sharing about the book, knowing where to start with that. I have a background in marketing, which has been really helpful, but it's also so overwhelming. There's so many books out there. Amazon has millions of books. There are so many libraries and schools, and it's hard for me to rein it in and to think about what is the most strategic way to share this story. So I would say the writing itself was the easy part, and everything that has come after has proven to be so much work, but also so worth it. Um, so yeah, I always tell people who are thinking about writing a book that the writing is just the very, very first step in the journey, and that you have to continue to put in the work after that to make sure your story reaches people and gets in the right hands. So I think that that's honestly been the biggest challenge is just figuring out the best way to get this book into kids' hands because there are a million ways to do it, and it's always hard. It's kind of hard to know what the best approach is at times. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really helpful insight for people that are just beginning writing or looking to write. I love that advice. So thank you for sharing. Were there particular colors, symbols, or scenes that held special meaning for you in the book?
Yes, throughout the whole book, there are so many, not to be like Taylor Swift, but there are so many Easter eggs throughout the book, things that the average reader might not pick up on, but that are symbolic to my family. One of my favorite pages that, just to show an example, let me pull it up really quick. My favorite spread is one where Shepherd is, here it is, with his older brother and his grandpa playing guitar. And then this scene right here is the two brothers looking out over an ocean. This is a beach my family goes to every year. And then on the other page, my dad plays guitar, and that was always a very formative part of my life growing up. I have so many memories of him playing guitar with me and my sister, and now he does that with his grandsons, my two boys. And so there are so many pages like that where it's a place that my family goes to, or something like a guitar that was meaningful for me growing up and now is meaningful for my boys. And then the characters themselves loosely represent my family. Shepherd has an older brother. Like I said, the boys in the story are several years older than my boys, who are 2 and 3. Um, but again, it's what I picture them looking like, what I hope they'll experience when they're a little bit older. Um, the most accurate representation is this dog. That is actually exactly what our dog looks like. And that was not a part of the book initially, but it's been really fun for my boys to see our dog in the pages. So of all the characters, the dog is the the most closely representative of our actual dog. But yeah, there's so many little parts throughout the book that represent aspects of me and my family, but again, that I think are scenes that a lot of people could resonate with. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I was reading this book myself, it definitely feels like a love letter to your family.
Mm, yeah.
And it's so heartfelt, and you can feel that and see that and experience that when you're going through the book. So
Thank you.
I love what you have done. It really does resonate on a parent level, the feelings that we have and the hopes and dreams that we have for our children.
Thank you. That's really kind.
Yeah. So based on that, have you received any memorable reactions from children, parents, or educators who have read Love Sounds Like?
Oh my goodness, the response has been so humbling and so beautiful, and I save so many of the messages and emails and Amazon reviews that I see. That has been, I was hopeful that would be the case, but you never know when you put something out in the world how it's going to be received. I think some of my favorite comments are from children, one who are either deaf and they, point to the pictures, or I've had parents of deaf children say, my kid points to the pictures of Shepherd's super ears, or they, hold up their own super ears. That's what we call them. But I also love the comments from hearing children who then say, "Oh, my neighbor has hearing aids," or "Oh, my neighbor or my cousin uses sign language," or "My teacher wears cochlear implants," and seeing them connect the dots and become more aware of the people in their lives who might be different from them. That is also really rewarding to me because it's showing that it's increasing, like I said, their awareness of the world around them and hopefully giving them another level of empathy or understanding for people who are different. Um, but yeah, I mean, all the feedback is so appreciated. It's so generous when people take the time to thank me or to send me a picture of their kid with the book. I love getting pictures like that. And then the most common thing that I've heard from parents is that they cry when they reach the last page. And I always feel a little bad about that, but then I tell them that I cried while I was writing it, and so it's only fair that they cry while reading it. That wasn't some hidden agenda, but it is a tender story and a bit nostalgic, and yeah, so it's really moving to me that people feel emotional after reading it. And that's, yeah, I was kind of hoping for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you say that because I think this book does a really good job at normalizing differences and hearing loss.
Hmm.
And that's such an important thing to learn from an early age. And
Yeah.
so you are doing that through sharing this book. And then also, it just brings out the human in us. Like you are saying, that it evokes those natural and raw emotions because it
Hmm.
is so tender and special and people can resonate with it. So that is um just really a powerful kudos to you, honestly, in your writing style and your personal story and having the courage and the vulnerability to share your personal story and how it has touched people all around the world.
Yeah. Thank
So,
you.
what is one conversation that you hope families have after reading this book together?
I mean, the obvious one is sharing the ways that they experience love. Um, I've talked about that with my kids a lot. And it's also helped me as a parent know how to better show them love, um, and kind of thinking outside the box of things that might make them feel love. So that's the obvious one. But I'd say the other is just the bigger picture of inclusivity. If people are different from us, if they have different abilities, come from different backgrounds, different income levels, there are so many ways to experience diversity in the world, and this deafness is just one of them. And so I hope the bigger picture conversation is one that invites children to be empathetic, to notice people who are different from them, but not in a judgmental sort of way, but rather in a appreciative and honoring sort of way. Um, and I hope it leads into a conversation that even though we're different, we're also not that different. We're all human. We all have similar emotions. We all feel joy and sadness and love and gratitude. And so I hope it sparks a bigger conversation of inclusivity and noticing the diversity in the people around us and really appreciating that. Yeah.
Yeah, that conversation is so valuable and impactful in the world that we live in today. So, looking ahead, do you have plans for future stories?
Yes, I do. And I'm working on my second children's book right now. The story's a little bit different. It's not about a deaf main character this time, but it still focuses on a relationship within a family. So I think I don't want to say all because I don't know what I'll be writing years from now, but I think for the short term, all my books are going to focus on a different family relationship. So this one was between a hearing mother and her deaf son. The next children's book, as a teaser, is about a granddaughter and her grandfather who has dementia. So again, just showcasing a different relationship and again, how to experience love and connection with somebody who is in a different life stage and is facing different challenges from you. So, yes, that'll hopefully be coming out next summer. I don't have the exact launch date yet. But yeah, definitely more children's books in the future because this one has been so fun and so rewarding. And I imagine I'll do another one in the future with a deaf child just because it is such a big part of our family story. Um, yeah, this just whet my appetite for more.
Yes, and ours too. I love that we got a little teaser. I cannot wait. And we will be sharing with our audience your website where they can purchase your books and find out more about what you have upcoming in the future.
Great.
So, to kind of end our conversation here, what is one piece of advice that you would give to other parents of deaf and hard of hearing children?
The biggest thing I say to families when they first learn that their child is deaf, I say it's going to be okay. And that sounds so simple. And I hope it's received in the way it's intended. It's not dismissive because I know it is so hard at the beginning. I know it is so scary. Anytime you learn something about your child, that's different from what you're expecting, it's scary. But it is so true that it's going to be okay. And it's going to be better than okay, honestly, because now we would not change Shepherd if we could. We would not make him hearing if we could. We love that this is who he is. We are confident this is who he was made to be. Um, and we are so excited to see what he's going to do, whether he embraces sign language fully and wants to immerse himself in that culture, whether he gravitates towards spoken language, whether he wants to mix both of them. We are cheering him on no matter what path he decides to take. Um, but we know deep down that this is who he's supposed to be, and we're so grateful for that, and we wouldn't change it if we could. So I would say it's going to be okay. Kids are more resilient than we give them credit for. And then I would also say to find community, learn about the deaf community, learn sign language, but on top of that, find other parents who are raising deaf children so that you can support each other. I have friends that I'll practice sign language with, and it's okay if we mess up because we're all learning. And we joke about all the, equipment issues we have and how we had to dig through the trash to find a missing coil and things like that. So I would say also find community, because that's been a beautiful part of this experience and also a very necessary one.
Yeah. Wow. I love that you give Shepherd the power of choice in his own life, and that you advocate and support him regardless of those choices. And so that is just beautiful. And I think your advice about finding community is incredibly helpful. So, this has been such a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much, Hannah, for sharing the heart behind Love Sounds Like, and for reminding us that love is not limited to what we can hear. It's something that we can feel, see, taste, and share in so many other ways. Your story invites us all, children, parents, educators alike, to see the world through a more compassionable and inclusive lens. Love Sounds Like is a story that celebrates the bond between parent and child and honors the many ways that we experience connection, whether through sound or silence. To our viewers, if you have not yet read Love Sounds Like, we encourage you to share it with the little ones in your life, your classroom, and your library. It's a gentle reminder that love can be understood in every sense. We're also thrilled to announce that Quill Model has partnered with Hannah to create a teacher's companion for Love Sounds Like, a resource that is designed to help educators bring the book's message into their classrooms through language, literacy, and inclusion-based activities. Thank you again for joining us today, Hannah, and thank you for creating a story that truly resonates with the heart. Until next time, keep listening, seeing, and feeling the love all around you.